We are back with our first podcast of 2026. We're here with Drew Jack, and I'm going to introduce Drew as he is one of our most consistent high performers. And there's a good quote. It was Frank Sinatra said this to Mike Tyson, which is a random two people. And he said it's
you came in prepared today.
Yeah. No, I'm winging this, but no.
His quotes in his pocket. You're special.
It hit me. He said and Mike remembered this because he's like, "Oh, I went downhill pretty much right after Frank said this to me." Cuz Mike was like at the peak, he's like hadn't been beaten or anything, and he said "Kid, it's not how good you're doing, it's how long you're doing good." And I like to apply that to exercise and CrossFit training in the way that, like, you got in here, you fully embraced it. And then, I mean, I don't run into you too much because we're on opposite ends of the schedule. But when I do see you, and like if I ever check like a leaderboard or anything, you were just such a rock solid, consistent performer. You generally stay fairly healthy. You're crushing workouts.
I don't think I've ever seen you not in shape, like ever.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. I don't know if I agree with that, but you know.
But I mean, it was a process. I mean, I remember you starting, and it was like you forget quickly, like where people start, and like he wasn't where he's at now when he started.
I remember just this.
He had to build a lot of strength.
Popped up. You gained 20 pounds of muscle. I
did
seen that video, and I didn't know you
yeah.
before that, so I've just known you since then.
Yeah, that was back in, 2016, 2017.
Okay,
yeah, we did the body biz before our wedding, and at that time I was like $165 or something, and Lauren was like, no, we got to change this a little bit. You got to get some strength. But no, right, like when I started, I had never done any kind of CrossFit training before, no kind of barbell movement before. And I remember being in the back of a class working on snatches, and Kiri walks over like, "This is kind of jacked up. We need to fix this a little bit." So it's definitely been a process for sure, but love it now.
So what was your training background in like just movement, sports and things before you got into it? Because I think I'll be able to explain why you were able to pick this up.
Sure.
Well.
Yeah. So taking it back, way back, I grew up as a gymnast. So
oh, cool.
When I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I was put into gymnastics when I was 4. I was one of those kids who was always climbing on the monkey bars, bouncing off of couches, flipping. My parents were like, we need to kind of channel this energy into something productive. And so they put me into gymnastics. And at the time, it was just like a high school gymnasium. They put mats up, go once a week on the weekend. But I really picked it up. I really enjoyed it. And that was when we were living in Pittsburgh. And then we moved to Cincinnati when I was in elementary school. And like I said, I really enjoyed gymnastics. And so my parents put me into a more competitive program, and I stuck with it. And that was my life. I got to a point where I was training 5-6 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day.
Wow.
And then I just kind of burned out.
Sure.
I was in middle school, and it got to a point where it was a little bit harder to get into the gym, trying to come up with excuses not to go. My parents were like, well, if you're not enjoying it anymore, let's find something else. So I stopped doing, competitive gymnastics in middle school, but I always really enjoyed the floor exercise and the tumbling part of it. That was what I always excelled at. So I kept up with that and kept up with those classes.
Did you do cheer or anything?
I did.
Okay.
And then when I was in college, I cheered for Wake Forest.
Okay. I was like, that is like the perfect segue into like, I'm getting a little burnt on just the 4 hours a day of like hardcore gymnastics. And then I've seen gymnasts, they're not always super short, but like you also probably, did you start to outgrow
and that was part
sport
of it
a little
too.
bit?
So yeah, I burned out part of it. The other part was, I was getting to a point where I'm swinging around the high bar and my feet just keep hitting the back. Like I'm not one of these like 5'4", 5'5" guys doing gymnastics. I'm 6'2", and so at some point it's like,
I'm like,
this is not really your path.
Sure.
You may need to transition into something else. So that was part of it.
Oh,
okay,
really
and
cool.
I guessed, I didn't know you cheered, but like I'm like, I bet he transitioned into that, and that would have been like a really smooth
Yep.
sport
People don't realize
transition.
how strong you have to be as a male cheerleader, you know, in college and stuff, and to hold the girls and do all the movements.
We have quite a few guys who cheered in college.
Oh, really?
Who go here that you might not know. Yeah. We have a Brutus the Buckeyes out there on the floor, and then his it's either his fiance or wife. You know, sorry if I screwed that up. And then she was on the Ohio State cheerleading team, and
cool.
I believe Nick Finelli cheered in college.
Okay,
that's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have, and that's just off the top of my head. We have a few others as well. So it is, and everyone who does it's very good at CrossFit. You know, because you can move well. So gymnastics with Olympic weightlifting, gymnasts, I don't know if I've ever got one that's a bad Olympic lifter after you show them, because you have the shoulder mobility and strength. So snatching is typically comes easier. Mm-hmm. And then like a clean and jerk, like it's just being able to get your arms over your head in a really explosive and then like stacked in a good way. Yeah. People don't realize how that is. You know,
that's why, like today,
that's a third of the sport here. That
today
CrossFit
on the workout, we went from 15 down to 3 with toes to bar, box jump overs, and
front squats.
Yeah, front squats. And Drew was like, "Yeah, it was like a no-brainer. I mean, you just do everything unbroken." I'm like, "Yeah." he got,
just run through it.
But I was telling him his score motivated me. I didn't think I could like even touch it. But if I try not to stay more than a minute behind you, that's always my goal. Especially like on lower times like that. If it's a higher time, then it's like 2 minutes. So, you know, it's in the range. Like I can just almost.
I think it's one of those just, you know, body awareness too. I mean, doing gymnastics for so long and sort of flipping and jumping up, like you sort of, you know how your body's supposed to move, and I feel like I can take direction really well. And so if someone says, you know, fix this, I can sort of mentally make that work and make, you know, make the correction.
Yeah, you're doing like a one-legged squat. It's like, you know, hinge at the hips and get onto your heel. And like someone's trying to do, if they don't know like what other things are doing at that same time, they'll just like,
That's what I always tell Brandon that I feel like I lack is this being able to make those adjustments. I don't have that. You know, I just grew up. I mean, I grew up playing soccer and those sort of things, but just for some reason, I don't have that. And he'll work with me on snatches, on gymnastics.
It just takes time to break it down.
I remember when he was teaching me how to kip, he said, I asked him if I was the like hardest client he's ever taught how to kip, and he said, well, anyone with your strength. No one as strong as you, basically, because it's just so difficult for me, but it's such a good skill, that body awareness. Yeah. And now, I mean, it's so common to have kids in gymnastics, probably, you know, you're not that old. How old are you?
I'll be 40 in February.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Welcome to the 40 Club. Exactly. Yeah. But it, you know, I feel like gymnastics is becoming more common. I mean, we've got Wendy's right there.
Exactly. All my kids have been in Wendy's. And I think it's such a great initial sport to start kids in, just for that reason. Yeah. Body awareness, strength, mobility, you know, would love for my kids to continue in it. It's up to them, of course. Yeah. But it's fun to see.
How do they like it?
They love it.
Okay.
They really do. Yeah, it's interesting to see, like, my third, Lucy, she's kind of our daredevil, and I feel like you need an element of fearlessness to you when you do gymnastics, and so I'm like, maybe she's going to be my gymnast.
Yeah.
Maybe she can be my meal ticket to the Olympics, and I can just, you know, coach her.
Yeah. You guys, does she go to Rock Solid now?
No, they're still at Wendy's, but we've thought about.
Yeah, Rock Solid's really, we just take Charlotte there. She really likes it, and they have all different levels.
Yeah.
She's just kind of in the like playing level, but it's hard to tell, you know, what kids will pick up. And
kind of try everything and see what sticks.
Yeah.
So between collegiate cheerleading and then CrossFit, what, if any, what did fitness and movement and all of that look like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, gymnastics, cheerleading, that was a part of my life for, 18 years or so. And then after I graduated college, I went to law school at University of Dayton, and I needed some form of outlet for stress relief and just to clear my head, and so I turned to running at that point. So I would run. I trained for a marathon. I ran a marathon in law school. one and done. I would never do that again. It was not a super enjoyable experience for me, but I kept it with running. And then when I graduated law school, moved to Columbus, this was 2012, still stuck with running, but I got to a point where I just was a little bored with it. I was bored with my routes, bored with the music, and I moved to German Village in May of 2013, bought a condo, and my next door neighbor, we shared a wall, was Michelle Worth. Okay. And we got to talking one day, became friends, and I was, telling her a little bit about, what I do for exercise, and she was like, have you ever thought about doing CrossFit? She's like, I go to this gym in Grandview, CrossFit Grandview, and I said, I've been thinking about CrossFit for a while, wasn't quite sure where to go. I'll go check it out. So September of 2013 is when I first showed up, did my elements class, and ever since then, just been hooked. Loved it.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that story. Mm-hmm. That's really neat.
Yep.
Yeah, her and Tony were great members for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They were awesome. That's okay. I didn't know who kind of turned you on to it, so that makes sense. So you started in 2013. Yep. Okay, so we're
going on 12, 13 years.
12, 13
yeah,
years.
Long time.
Very cool. Very cool. Have you done the Open every year, or have you taken some years off at all?
Yeah, I've taken some years off.
Okay.
It's whether it had been around, like, trying to think, kids being born one year, traveling some years.
I know when you do it, you usually do a really good job, and it's like, it starts to test some of the harder stuff. So like that's, again, like you've got that well-rounded game. You're good at gymnastics, and where, some people might hard charge on, real basic stuff. Like when they throw the harder stuff at you, you're going to usually do even better. So that's usually a fun test for you,
Yeah.
year
Definitely
to year.
want to sign up and do it this year. It's, I had been one of those people that it's like, if I know I can't commit to all of it, I won't sign up. But I was listening to your podcast last week, and it's like, just sign up and do it.
Yeah.
So, so I'm going to do that.
Yeah, you'll have years you don't do quite as well. Like I always like Tyler Ferricks is a fairly comparable person, I feel like, to you in the gym, and that like you guys are pretty close in age. I've been here roughly about the same amount of time, and are really consistent high performers. And what I love about him, and I've had some years off with little injuries or different things, and he's done it every year that he's been here, and it's like, I don't know, 13 years or something, 13 opens or something. And he had a pretty severe hamstring injury one year, and he still like did it. And he did, he had a low year, but then he's just like, he hasn't broke the chain. And it's just cool to see like his fitness across like 13 years of, doing it. And he's got kids, and he changed roles, and he's an owner in his construction company, and like it's really cool. And it's cool to see guys like you like keep doing this and doing it at a high level, because one thing I see a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like they do it as like a sport for like 2 or 3 years, and then if there's any change in responsibility or it's just like it's all or nothing.
Right.
And you're going to go through ebbs and flows, and like it doesn't have to be like I'm a couch potato or Rich Froning.
Sure. Yeah.
What I mean?
No, I feel like at this point in my life, I'm just all about just consistency. I'm not really trying to chase a new PR right now. I just want to get into the gym, work out, and it's great if if there's a benchmark workout and I can see that I'm at least holding my time from 8 years ago. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So it's like that's all I'm really like that's what success means to me, if I can just kind of stay consistent.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and I know this personally, like if you were really fit 8 years ago and you were trying really hard 8 years ago and you were in your lower 30s, and to beat yourself up and with less responsibilities, if you're to beat yourself up and like be like, I can't PR every single thing from then, it's like that's a disservice to that guy. Yeah. Who was kicking some ass right then and had less things on his plate. So I always think about that with myself. Like it's like like that's a disservice to that guy who was doing, you know, an extra workout a week, had less wear and tear on his body, less stress, you know, like less things going on. Like, hey, you're giving it everything you've got at where you're at right now. But like that guy was pretty cool too. Yeah. So like be happy for him.
Sure.
You know, I that's how I have to like talk to myself sometimes when I'm like, oh man, I used to, you know, do this or that.
Well, because then I feel like it's not motivating because, you know, well, at least for me, all my PRs are behind me, you know. So if I can even like chase or kind of get within like a certain range, it's motivating. And I think like at a certain point, like at a certain age, just if you can try not to decline too much, or, you know, if you were in good shape before, and you usually come in, you take the 6:30 a.m. class?
5:30.
5:30, okay.
Yep.
Can you walk us through a typical day? Because I like to hear this, especially when people have to wake up real early.
Yeah, typical day. So I'm usually up at 5. And I eat on the go in the car on the way here. We live just about 3 minutes away, so it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
But, you know, one of the things I learned from Body Biz, I used to be someone who never would eat before working out. I just thought it would never sit well with me, but that was one of the first things that I remember Lauren hammering in. It's like, no, you need to eat before you work out. You need the energy. So that's one change that I made.
Do you just do like a smoothie on the way in, or?
Yeah, like a bar and a pre-workout.
Okay.
Kind of drink. So I'm in here by right at 5:30, and I used to probably 3-4 years ago. I was doing a lot of the L2 programming.
Yeah.
And you know, that was something I had been doing for quite a while, maybe since I started in 2013, maybe around 2016 or so. I'd been doing all levels, and back then I was going in the evenings. I would go at 7:30 or 7 at night, and it just got to a point, just sort of lifestyle, made sense to switch to mornings. You know, sometimes work gets busy in the evening, and I would find myself missing classes, or I started dating my, you know, now wife, and you know, you want to go grab dinner or something like that. So you need to change sort of when you work out. And Joey was the coach at the time in the evening, and I had said, hey, you know, I'm kind of interested in doing some L2 programming. What do you think? And he's like, I think it's a good idea. What's holding you back? I said, well, there's, you know, this L2 checklist. I haven't, you know, really done that. And I said, would you mind maybe meeting me one Saturday and we can just kind of go through this checklist? And so met him one Saturday, and we just hammered out the entire L2 checklist in an hour. And it was
that's a heck of a workout right there.
No, it is. And we ended on the row. And I think it's one of the only times I've ever rowed a 3:30 row, but I nailed it on the dot, fell off the rower, and fell. I mean, that was probably the worst I've ever felt after an entire workout, but I think it makes sense if you try to like, jam all that into an hour. But I'm certainly someone who's like, if there's a checklist I need to complete, like, I'm going to do it. And I'm someone who's like, I'm not going to do it unless I know I can do everything.
Yep.
You know? So switched to L2 programming, did that for a really long time. And then just with life stuff and needing to, you know, get home and help wake kids up in the morning, get them ready for school. I just couldn't spend as much time in the morning doing all of that. And it was starting to wear on my body a little bit too. And so about 3 years ago, switched back to all levels, and it's been great. And so show up here at 5:30, do that class. And then, from there, it's sort of like off to the races as soon as I get home, get ready, get, you know, oldest daughter up, make her breakfast, take her to school, all that, head into work. And
I see you, because I drop the kids off, you know, they're like, wait till 8. And I'm always like, it's like 7:55, you know, and I'm like in that little thing. I'm like, okay, get out right before the flood of everyone gets there. So I let them out like right when it's like not super frowned upon. And then I always see you walking in as I'm like heading in, and I'm like, I know that you've already trained. You got home, you're walking the kids in to school. And then that's like right when I'm starting my day. Like I'll hit the door here between like 8 and 8:10, depending on if I get behind that line of cars.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely days where I pull into the office and I'm like, I feel like I've lived an entire day. It's like 8:30.
Yeah,
depending on how bad your daughter is for school.
Or like how the twins have slept that night, if at all. And it's like, what have I been doing? So,
And how old are your twins now?
10 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
How's that?
It's as wild as you can imagine. Probably wilder. Yeah, it's a little crazy, but it's a lot of fun. We enjoy it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Our daughter, oh my gosh, in the mornings, I mean, Brandon will send me memes like, "Who's your daughter today?" Because she's having a bad day. I mean, it's blowing up the whole. Like Oscar's pretty even if he's having a bad day, he'll just kind of be quiet or move a little slow. Charlotte, it's bad, and it's the whole. It's
She's
like
gonna let
fight.
everyone else feel it too.
It's a fight. You want to wear pajamas to school? Fine.
Okay, pick your
whatever. I
battles.
don't care anymore.
Totally.
So then you are at the office, what, like 8:30 to when usually?
Yeah, I mean, I try to leave 5:30 or so I can get home and, eat dinner at 6, and then it's up to Bath for, the kids around 7, and so my wife and I do a divide and conquer. She's with the twins, I'm with the older girls, doing baths, putting them to bed. Everyone's usually in bed around 8 or so, and then, as I'm sure you all know and can appreciate, it's like you head downstairs and you're like, we got to clean up this kitchen and the living room. It's a mess, and so we spend the next 45 minutes or so doing that, and then some days I may have to do a little bit of work, and love to get to bed earlier than I do, but it's usually around 10:30, 11.
That's why I was wondering. Yeah.
And
okay. Yeah.
rinse and repeat,
Can you sleep in on the weekends? Do you try to do that? But I usually see you in here early.
Yeah, I usually try because for me, I need to get into the gym, or I feel better doing it first thing in the morning while everyone else is sleeping, because it's sort of
enough things will pop up that will like make you not be able to if you punt it off.
That's part of it, and it's like I'll sacrifice my sleep, knowing that sort of everyone else is taken care of and sleeping, and it's sort of it's my time. So I feel better doing it when everyone else is sleeping.
Yeah, it's peaceful in the mornings too. I really do enjoy the mornings. I feel like that's part, like I wake up pretty early, and I feel like that's part of it. It's just like so motivating to go downstairs and it's really quiet. And so even on the weekend, just like sitting there for a little while, Yeah,
it's a nice way to sort of start the day. And I mean, look, there are definitely moments where the alarm goes off and I'm like, do I really want to go in? But more often than not, I feel worse if I just hit the snooze and sleep until 7 than if I just get up, get moving. I will have more energy later in the day. Yeah, for sure.
So how do you recover? Because you got to get tired.
Well,
you're like, I'm waiting for that.
That's a great
What do you
question.
What do you do to?
Yeah, what does recovery mean? No, I mean, there are Sundays may sleep in a little bit, but I've also enjoyed too. Like, I've started recently doing the power hour workout on Sunday mornings.
Okay,
so it's a little bit different. I'm not really beating up my body like
the upper body Saturday one.
The upper body Saturday.
Yeah.
It's just
I
nice,
know.
I don't know. So I view that as, I don't know if that's recovery, but
You're talking about another workout,
a lower pace, and,
yeah,
whatnot. But I've noticed a lot of improvement for sure, because it's something I don't really work on a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan gives me shit every single day about like my bench press. It's the one bench press and deadlift are the two movements that I'm just not great at, and he lets me know it every single time. But I have noticed a lot of improvement in sort of sticking with and doing the power hour on a consistent basis. It's really, I've noticed some improvement.
That Saturday is a good one. I've gotten to rhythms where I'll do like 4, like Monday through Wednesday, Friday, and then I'll do Saturday's upper body power hour, especially if I'm getting a little tired if I do like 5 days, because it's like, again, it doesn't zap your body, your total body, where you're doing a full body workout, and then you're working on a lot of like shoulders and stuff that you don't have time to do 100 accessory reps of this stuff in CrossFit. So you get all of that in, you rest Sunday, whatever it is, and it just like, it feels like it really starts to help after a while. Yeah. I know what you mean. I like that class as well, and I think that's one that a lot of people could, especially if they're tired by Saturday morning, it's a good pivot to get into the gym, or do it Sunday if you're like, I don't have it in me to dive into the ground and do a burpee today,
Right,
or whatever it is, or
Right.
do wall balls, or, that kind of stuff.
So you do CrossFit 6 days a week and you do power hours Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5-6 days a week. They're most weeks, I may not be in here every day. I try to get in here pretty consistently almost every morning if I can, but, there's some days where, sleep isn't really working out with the little ones, or, up late with work stuff and would rather sleep. But, for the most part, try to get at least 5 days a week.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. And that is just being consistent, and it's just like a kind of a non-negotiable in your day. It sounds like, it's just like, this is what I do. This is the type of person I am now.
Totally. I mean, when you do something for 12, 13 years, it just becomes part of your routine.
I think this is good for people to hear who are maybe coming back. We have, a fair amount of people who start back around this time of year. They've been past members, and I send some emails out with the thought process of like, maybe just put this out in front of people. I'll send it out to like our inactive members, like, hey, kind of letting you remember that we're here, and remember maybe when you came, how you felt and like what that was like. Yeah. And, but making it a part of like what you do, because there's, a lot of, we'll get our cancellations. We get reasons, and it's, moving is a big one, but a lot of it is like, hey, I'm just not making it in. I wouldn't say it's a lack of our schedule, where we have like,
all the classes all the time.
5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
a.m. Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday. Like, there's a time every day you can drive your car and jump in on that hour and make something work. And it's just like, well, I've got other things where I don't want to do hard workouts right now, or whatever it is. And it's not like, hey, you have to do CrossFit or whatever it is, but making fitness and
it's more like the language that what you were just saying, this is what I do.
Yeah.
That's why I keep seeing, I feel like Instagram picks up on how you speak. And like what I keep seeing is, like if you're trying to make positive changes, like you make one positive change in your life and you're like, okay, I'm a person who reads before bed every night. This is what I do. And then you just start doing it. Or I'm a person that does hard things, or it is silly. It's like, I don't think people realize how much people that are consistent like you over years and years and years have to talk to yourself. It's all this mental talk to keep yourself going, to keep yourself motivated. And, you've been through a lot of life in the time that you've been here and experienced a lot of hard things. And, just what you have to tell yourself, like, I'm someone that can do hard things through all of that. Like, I'm someone that does hard things even when I don't feel like it.
Your kids aren't feeling good. I can tell you might not feel 150% right now, like from everything. And, you were here first thing in the morning and then came back to do this. And to Kate's point, like, that's just like, today is a prime example of where I do think not a lot. Most people would, you didn't even think twice about it, but most people would be like, it's the day after news, I have the day off, kids are sick, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a Friday, I'm not working, I'm not coming in. I mean, it's not real busy in here today. Like, we had 20 people in the first class and about 10 in each class after that, and about 500 members that are allowed to come in today. So it's like, it takes some dedication on days like today to come in.
Deeper motivation. So what would be like your deeper motivation for staying in shape?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just something that has been ingrained in me from a really early age. I mean, when I go back to those years of training in gymnastics, 3-4 hours a day, every single day, it's just been part of who I am. That sort of motivation. I'm also someone who's just very dedicated and loyal, and I just show up to things and do things. I'm also someone who doesn't like to make a lot of major life changes. I like to just kind of, this is what I do, this is where I go, this is my routine. And, some may say that's pretty boring, but I'm also at the point in my life where like, I've kind of figured out what works for me.
Boring feels good though.
And, this is just,
yeah.
it's just kind of what it is,
Yeah. But what's neat with you, I mean, you were competing at such a high level with gymnastics, and you made that transition where like, this isn't feeling great. I like to see when people are at really high levels and to be able to transition to something that's still cool, but they're not beating themselves up and banging their heads against the wall. Like with you in level 2, and you're like, cool, this isn't working anymore. More than an hour here is going to beat me up. I'm just going to transition to level 1. I can't tell you, I mean, Brandon probably can. We've lost a ton of members when they can't do level 2 anymore. If it's beating them up
it's just this or nothing.
Then because they've been there, now they just won't like shift down a gear, and I think it's just the transitions, and that it's neat to see, because it's a lot of, being confident in yourself and saying, okay, it's fine that I do this. I can still be in great shape. I can still play at this level and be competitive and be, feel really good and feel better than if I would keep pushing myself here and be injured because I know I have this amount of sleep and this amount of stress in my life, outside of here.
To tell you the truth, I think there's also like, and tell me if this doesn't make sense, that level 2 volume and what you're doing over there is raising everything up. But at a certain point, say you start to get into your mid to late 30s, you transition out, you don't need all that to necessarily maintain that. So you just need to stimulate things, and you don't need the constant pounding. And like, you can be right where you were at there without the volume. You're not going to necessarily exceed that, but you can stimulate that, what you had built there up to those levels with a little less training or just touching it. The best shape I've ever been in, maybe not the best competitive CrossFit I was ever in, but the best shape I ever felt like was after I'd kind of gotten out of that competitive training. I did all levels, and then occasionally I'd like once a week I'd jump up, I'd do like 3 sets of 7 ring muscle ups after a class, and then maybe the next week I'd do some strict handstand push-ups after a class. And I wasn't doing too much volume. I just hit the class. I was hitting it hard, and I was in a great rhythm, and I probably chained together a whole year of that. And I was like, man, I've never felt better. I can hit everything right about where I ever could, and I'm never hurt. Like, and that's where I'm like, that is I feel like the holy grail of where, it's this kind of like almost romantic time I can feel like in my fitness that is like kind of where you're at right now. And like that, I want to encourage people to find that at some point in their career in it, because it's awesome. And you're like, you built that base, you can keep it going, and you can feel really good and strong without having to necessarily try and beat yourself into the ground.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. No, I feel like, when I think about, I'm not trying to compete for anything right now. I'm just trying to, like I said, be consistent.
But if you and Tyler Ferricks are in a class, you guys are definitely going head to head.
So funny you say that. One of the guys in 530 the other day was like, I want to see you go. I think you should go head to head with Tyler. And like, I do many days at the 530 class, and he always beats me. Like, what are you talking about?
Dan
go head to head.
Me it was the wall ball day, and I was just
Tyler's good on some wall ball.
I was having him give me a goal, and he's like, you should have seen Tyler and Drew in here this morning. They didn't talk the whole time. They just did 30 wall balls, turned around, and they kind of looked at each other, and then did the lunges. And he's like,
I know, he was every a few steps ahead of me, and I was
like, I don't want to hear about them.
Just for days.
I'm going to do me today. Yeah. Oh, I was so sore
for days.
That's a good workout.
Walking up and down the stairs. Oh, it was awful. When was that? What date was that? Because I feel like it was like right after or right before a holiday.
2 Fridays ago, I think. It was a Friday. It was a Friday workout. I think we squatted and then did that.
One of my holiday experiences.
Yeah. Brutal.
Because it was just enough where, like, if you were on it, people could hold on to the wall ball. Yeah. But the lunges were actually harder than you would think after doing those.
Way harder. I like to think, when I read a workout that I can think, like,
break it down.
And then I'll know how it feels. But there are many times where I finish a workout and it's like, that was a lot harder than
Yeah.
what
I almost
Yeah.
made it 50, 40, and I'm so glad I didn't. It's not that people could have got through it, but it would have really slowed the cadence of it down.
Yeah.
Like after
Yeah.
the 50, people would be really chipping away. It would have slowed down. But when you went 40, 30, 20, 10, it's 100 wall ball instead of 150. And then people are running through it. And the intensity is 2x what it would have been with one more layered on there. So I'm like, I'm really glad I pulled that off because it made people go through it and it kept the class feeling like very intense rather than like everyone just, you know what, I'll watch a workout and everyone just kind of falls apart. And I'm like, I overprogrammed the work. Like it didn't go well. Like the way I like to see everyone have a bit of pep as they're moving through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's one thing I feel like, after doing this for so long, I can go into a workout and I'm always really big on pacing. I'm never one to fly out of the gate and go really hot because I know after, 10, 12 minutes, you're going to start to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've always been someone who start out a little bit slower, but it's a mental thing too, because when you start seeing people around you get ahead of you, the instinct is to really kick in and start pushing, but it's like, just slow down, take your time, because then I'd rather save some momentum.
Have a kick at
the last couple of minutes, just,
Yeah. I usually do that. That one workout with you guys, I was telling you about it.
I was like sliding down
Drew
the wall
was like,
though.
Come on, Kate, you've got it. I think it took me 5 minutes to do
Those
10
were
wall
brutal.
climbs because I told him I barely slept
Out
the
on
night
your
before I
feet.
show up. I'm like, I'm sandwiched in between Tyler and Drew, and I'm like, oh no, because I'm gonna try to push myself to keep up with them. And Tyler just flew off that bike, and I'm like, okay, just try to keep him in your sights. Then once I had I should have split up the snatches because I think you did that, and I decided to hold on to it, but I usually don't ever do that.
My shoulders were jello. And just,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll talk to groups of classes, so I'll compare it to running. I'm like, you won't ever see good runners on a 5K, a marathon, no matter what it is. They're not going to like 3, 2, 1, go and just sprint, and then they're like falling apart and like falling at the finish line. Like they're usually coming out measured, and then they're running fast towards the end because they've saved a bit of a kick, and they're like, there's a pace to it. I'm like, in every CrossFit workout, it's like on the rower, 3, 2, 1, go. It's a 25-minute AMRAP. I'm like, you guys are doing the equivalent to like running a 100-meter dash to start, and then you get 3 minutes into the workout, and you're just like wiped. And I'm like, start this. Think about this like a 5K run, because this is about how long a 5K run would take you. If this is a 25-minute thing, think about it like that. Go out at that pace. Midway through the workout, you're going to have some energy. You're going to feel like you can still move. Start to plan workouts this way. If it's a 6-minute workout, think about it like a mile run. I'm like, a mile run is short and it's a hard race, but again, it's not a 40-meter dash.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a
And I
bit of a
think
measured pace to it.
a lot of it is calming yourself, because today was part of it. Like, I mean, it's such a short, intense workout.
It's not a long
I'm
one.
like, okay, you're okay. You're all right. You're on the box jumps. You can slow this pace. You can just take the next two a little slower instead of freaking out, stopping. It's a lot of just like mental. Calming down. But yeah, it's still fun to, I always need to kind of be pushed out of my pacing mode, so it's good to like have me do that. But I think it is fun to pace too, because it's kind of like a game. Like every workout is almost like you against yourself. Okay, how can I push this? How can I make this a little more efficient? Next time I'm going to squat clean or take 3 breaths in between this and that, and you just are so present. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. And that's my gymnastics. Being a sort of an individual sport, I've always been very internally competitive, and so it's always been fun, especially seeing other people. It's like I'm not really competing with them, I'm just trying to push myself, like move faster, move faster.
Really, I just get motivated by how much someone's allowing themselves to hurt. I'm like, okay, if they're going to be like breathing that hard, I can try that hard too.
Well, Drew, we are running out of time. Kate's got to train some people. You've been awesome today, man. Really appreciate you. It's just like being model member at the gym, and like being someone, we wanted to have you on because it's like someone who's been here for 12, 13 years, consistently comes in, you know, you get your money's worth out of what you're paying for, I think, here by coming in, you know, every day, and you're just kicking ass, and you're someone I want to see who comes in here when they're 28 years old and they're like, oh, that guy was here when he was 28 and he's 40 and this is what he's doing every day
Yeah,
here.
and just remember when I asked him about his recovery, he said, I do a power hour workout.
I need to work on that.
And he was like, oh, wait, I mean, maybe that's not
I do a little less intense workout on that day.
I mean, on the 7th day, I just weight train.
I'll work on that.
So if you wonder why he's in shape, it's not a mystery.
No, well, I appreciate it. It was fun to work in the new year with you guys.
Thanks, buddy. I
thank you.
appreciate it.
All righty.